In 6.5, we're going to talk about ratios and proportions. And one way that we can look at that is A over B. That's the saying is A is to B. Another way we can write ratios is A to B, like with a colon, or just A to B. And what we're saying is that A is to B as C is to D. So we're just comparing two fractions and trying to get them so that they're equivalent fractions. So some of the first ones, it's just going to ask you if some fractions are equivalent. So if we have 1 over 2 and 2 over 4, we know that these are equal to each other because 2 over 4, when we reduce that and divide both by 2, we get 1 over 2. So 1 over 2 equals 1 over 2. That's one of the ways that we can see if fractions or if ratios are the same. Or proportions here, like they're going to say. The other way is to cross multiply. And 1 times 4 is 4, and 2 times 2 is 4. If those equal each other, then the two proportions are also equal. So let's look at some others. Let's say we have 2 over 9 and 21 over 90. Are these equal to each other? So let's do the first method where we can't simplify anything here, but we'll simplify this. We can divide both of these by a 3. Let me get this. Divided by 3, divided by 3, and we're going to get 7 over 30. And now we can't simplify this anymore, and we can't simplify that one. So these two, using this method, would be they would not be equal. But let's say we want to do the cross-multiplying way. 2 times 90 is 180. 9 times 21 is going to be 189. So again, they're not equal to each other. So these two, you would say no for this one. And that's what some of the first questions are going to be, just asking you if the two are equivalent. So the next one, let's say we have 21 over 28. Does that equal 12 over 16? So let's first reduce both. We can reduce the first one. We can divide both of these by 7 and get 3 over 4. We can divide both of these by 4 and get 3 over 4. 3 over 4 equals 3 over 4, so those two are equivalent. The other method would be the cross multiplying. And so 21 times 16 equals 336. And 12 times 28 also equals 336. So there's the two methods that you can see if the two ratios or proportions, however they're going to word it, are equivalent. Next, you're going to actually find what the equivalent is. So let's say we have 48 over 54 equals 80 over x. So the way that you're going to do these is by cross multiplying and solving for x. You're going to say 48 times x equals 54 times 80. Now what you could do here is simplify to make this a little easier, since on the test you're not going to have a calculator. Simplify the fractions when you can. So here, 48 and 54, those are both divisible by 6, and we would get 8 and 9. So now we have a little bit easier numbers to work with, but we can also do a little bit more. We can also simplify the two numerators to each other, the 8 and the 80, and the 9 and the x. The 9 and the x can't do anything. The 8 and the 80 can. And I'm going to do, first I'm just going to do it the way it is, and then I'm going to do it by simplifying again. So I'm going to say 8 times x is 8x equals 9 times 80, which is 720. Divide both sides by 8 and get x equals 90. Okay, so the other method, and here we would have 48 is to 54 as 80 is to 90. So if I wanted to simplify it even more to make my actual math easier, I could simplify the 8 and the 80. Both of them are divisible by 8. So this would become a 1, and this would be a 10. And now I have a 1 times x, which is just x, equals a 9 times 10, which is 90. And I got the same answer. If I had done 48 times x equals 54 times 80 and solved for x, I still would have got the same thing. But since you don't use calculators on the test, I recommend simplifying as much as you can before you do the multiplications. So another question. Let's say we have 5 over 6 equals x over 149. So here, we're not going to be able to simplify anything. So we're just going to have to say 6 times x is 6x equals 5 times 149. And I'm just going to write that 5 times the 149. So we'll have a 6x equals 745. Divide both sides by 6. And we're going to get x equals 124.166. And it just, the 6's go on. So it's actually 124.16 repeating. But if it says round to the nearest hundredth, so that means that we have to look at the hundredth spot, which is a 6. The next one over is a 6. That means we round up. So our answer is going to be 124.17. Pay attention if it says to round and where it says to round to. Okay, so next, let's say we have 8 equals 40 over x. This one, just remember that we have, this is still a fraction. The 8 is actually over a 1. So go ahead and put that and make it a little bit easier. So now we're just going to say we can either simplify. I'm going to do it two ways. First, I'm not going to simplify. 8 times x is 8x equals 1 times 40 is 40. Divide both sides by 8, and I get x equals 5. Now, let's decide to simplify. We have 8 over 1 equals 40 over x. So I can't do anything top or bottom here, 8 and 1 and 40 over x, but I can simplify the two numerators. 8 will go into both of these. So this will become a 1. This will become a 5. So now we have 1 times x is x equals 1 times 5 is 5. And we have the same answer either way. So you can simplify if it makes it easy. On the tests, look to see what numbers there are. And if it's easy to simplify, if you can, then do so to make your numbers easy. So let's do some that have some fractions. Let's say that we have 8 over x equals 5 over 3 over 5. Okay, so let's just do that. The same that we did before. 5x times 5 over 3 is 5 over 3x equals 8 times 5 is 40. And now because we have a fraction in front of the x, we're going to use the reciprocal. 3 over 5 and 3 over 5. The 3 and 3's cancel, 5 and 5's cancel, so we're left with x equals 5 will go into 40 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, so let's do another one that's a little bit, that's kind of like this. Let's say we have 7 over 8 over 6 equals x over 8. Okay, so we're going to, okay, 6 times x is 6x equals 7 over 8 times 8. When we have 7 over 8 times 8, these 8's will cancel because it's 8 divided by 8. So now we're left with 6 over x equals 7. Let me do that a little bit neater. Okay. 6 over x equals, or 6x equals 7. Divide both sides by 6. And we get x equals 7 over 6. So you could get a fraction for your answer. Okay, so then the next types of questions that you'll have are some word problems. And let's say that it says that it takes 1 1/4 cups of sugar to make 20 cookies. All right, and you want to know how much sugar for 6 cookies. So we're just going to put this as a ratio. Just like we did, we're going to say 1 1/4 is to 20 as what? How many cups is to 6? So I'm going to put the symbols here, but you don't need to put them as like this necessarily. So I'm going to say 1 1/4 cups over 20 cookies equals x cups over 6 cookies. I only put the units here so you can see that I have cups on top for both fractions and cookies on bottom for both fractions. After that, it doesn't matter. So we're going to work this the same way. We're going to say 20 times x is 20x equals, and here we have the mixed fraction, so I need to turn it into an improper. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 4 times 6. So now I have 20x equals 30 divided by 4 is going to be, actually I can do this as a 2, this as a 3, so 15 over 2. When I divide both sides by 20, remember that's same as saying 1 over 20. So this is going to be a 3 over 2 times 4 is 8. So 8, cups. 3/8 of a cup. What I did here, 15 over 40 becomes 3/8. And so go from there. And then the next type of problem is going to be a longer one. So let's say that it says that the tax on a property that is $670,000 is $11,390, and it's going to give you some fractions, some ratios, some proportions of when the tax is at $580,000. So if the house is $670,000, the tax is $11,900. What is tax for 580,000. And this, all you have to do is set it up. It's a multiple choice question, and there's going to be 4 choices, and some of them, I believe 3 of them are going to be right. So what we could say is the 670 is to the 1190 or 900 as the 580,000 is to X. So we put the costs of the houses on top and the taxes on bottom, and I made sure that the tax that went with the 670 was in that same fraction. We could also flip this and say 11,900 is to 670,000 as X is to 580,000, like this. Another way that we could do that is to put the houses as the fraction. So I'm going to put the 670 on top, which means I need to put the 11,900 on top. So 670,000 over 580,000 equals 11,900 over X. So here, I still have the ratios because I have the houses together and the taxes together, and on top, I have the first house along with its tax, as well as the, on the bottom, I have the new house with its tax. And then I could flip this one as well and have 580,000 over 670,000 equals X over 11,900. So these are the right ways to do it. Now, if you have one that has the 11,900 with the 580,000 together, then that's going to be the wrong choice. You're going to have 3 correct ones and 1 incorrect one. These are the ways that it'll look for if they are correct. So pay attention to the way that this one is worded. And you are going to have one like this on the test. So be careful, or pay attention to how you do this one. And that is it for section 6.5.